Good morning, everybody. It is Jillian. Okay, so yes, it is Monday. It is Memorial Day. It is the day that America remembers the ultimate sacrifice through ritual and ceremony of those that came before us and fought in all the different wars and conflicts. And it can be politicized or it could just be left alone. But given yesterday's transmission or the day before about ritual, sacrifice, and ceremony, you can take it for what it is. Okay? I'm not going to get too deep on that. So, anyways, so yesterday I hung out with some people, some friends, and it was somebody's birthday, and it was also celebrating the weekend as well. It was nice. And we're also still in the beginning of spring, and spring is full of pollen. And we were actually away from the inner city, so we were more out in the country, which means I had to get used to a whole new flora and fauna. Now, the interesting thing about that is like a week or so ago, I was sneezing and sneezing and sneezing and sneezing and sneezing, and I felt like I even had to wear a mask because every time I went outside to take my dog out, I would come in just like everything just pouring out. And I'm like, oh my God, this really sucks. But I knew that it was evolution. I knew that I needed to go through it. I needed to feel it because if I were to take Claritin, if I were to take any kind of mucus drying substance, if I were to take any kind of medication, it would actually stop the evolution. Okay? And so yesterday I felt, it actually was pretty cool. I was playing cornhole and ate a hamburger and ate some cupcakes and hung out with some kids. And it was just like a really cool time. And it was nice respite, though I know my husband was like, oh, I want you to go walleye fishing with me today. And I'm like, as much as I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe down the road when my book is done, yes, I'll go walleye fishing with you. So I decided to let him go walleye fishing, which he really wants to do anyways on his own, because I just, it's bottom bouncing. It's totally different than usual, just, jigging the crappie fish and all that. So anyway, so he's doing his thing, which is cool. But yesterday, yeah, I was eating a bunch of stuff and I just felt all this stuff coming out, and I would keep blowing my nose. I wouldn't take any kind of medication, none at all. And yeah, actually I got a few mosquito bites. Okay. I came home last night after I was so tired. I was like, oh my God, such a day of so much activity when I'm usually just very chill and sedentary and doing my book and doing the Facebook lives. So I had like 7 mosquito bites here and a few underneath, under my shirt and everything. I'm just like, okay. So I'm like, whatever. I just put some J juice on it, some coconut oil, and I don't even drink any J juice actually. I just put the J juice on topically and they're all gone. They're not there anymore. It was just, and I didn't even feel them when they bit me. I didn't even feel them when they bit me. And so it's like, yeah, you'll get bit. You won't get bit as much. Like, I don't deal with mosquitoes in the house, but I was out in the country and I was in the grass playing with kids, rolling around, playing cornhole. And so it was just inevitable, but I could have been a lot more bitten. Excuse me. But the few that I did get, not a big deal. Okay? And so the thing with the J juice right now, after I've been healed and sealed, you're going to have to deal with an environment that has so many different changes. You go from one city to another city, to one country to another country. You're going to have to evolve to the level of that environment. And so let's say I wanted to morph my body to be not as voluptuous. Let's say I want to get rid of my boobs and my butt and my little belly. Well, I would just eat less of the sugar and less of the carbs and drink more J juice, do all the release of the excess, right? And I'd be skinny again. So I can actually control my weight and my voluptuousness based upon now just saying, okay, well, I won't drink as many coffees. I'll do more of the running around and exercise and less of the food. And not that I would be starving myself, but I would just be playing with the constituents that I have. I'd be playing with what I would have, and if I needed to gain more of the weight, then I would just eat more donuts and eat more of this, and so it's like once you finally heal and seal, you'll be able to play with your weight and play with how you want to do your weight. Now, why am I more voluptuous now? Because I was like, oh my gosh, I was thinking like, my gosh, I have such boobs now, and I have a little bit of a butt, and I could do more squats, but I want to get a bigger butt, and be more like a Marilyn Monroe hourglass. Well, I've been putting all of my energy in my brain, and I'm putting my brain towards my book, and I'm really just focusing on the different concepts with my book so I can make whatever it is I'm saying that much clearer with very, very, very distinct words that aren't going to be so confusing. And so that does take like brain food. I mean, that takes like nuts. So like nuts are brain food. Steaks are brain food. Yeah, I was doing a bunch of coffee last week, and I might do, instead of like the shots of espresso shots that are in those little coffee cans from Starbucks, I might just stick to like one nitro a day. But I haven't been drinking. I think I drank one nitro cold brew yesterday. Actually two. One in the morning, and it wasn't that aggressive. And that was actually at Starbucks, and then I bought a can from the convenience store. But I wasn't like wired. I wasn't like buzzing. I was just like, I just like it. But I know that the nitro cold brew with vanilla sweet cream, that has some calories in it, which is fine. Calories aren't bad, you guys. Just what you have to understand is that the fat on your body is not only healing, but it also gives you, yes, energy, but also brain power. But then too much fat, obviously, is then going to be stressful on your vital organs. So it's understanding the balance and then what you're doing. So right now, while I'm doing my book, I'm going to be a little bit more voluptuous, a bit more, and put all my focus through my brain and zero in on what I have to get done and to get completed. And then once I'm done, then it'll be like, okay, there's so much I need to do around this house that I will be focusing on more manual labor than brain labor. Because brain labor, not that you're letting go of your body, but you're putting more your energy in your brain. And so you're exercising your brain. So whatever you put energy towards is what it's going to be morphed, is what it's going to be evolved. It's what it's going to be then, tailored to your expectations. Because remember, you can bring anything into fruition, so as long as the environment is stable enough and you know what chemistry put together. Okay? And so that's the whole point of J juice. And so when a person is born, let's say you have a baby, your baby is a prototype. Okay, your baby is a prototype, and relative to how you react to the baby's evolution in the environment that it's in will be based upon, will determine whether or not that baby is going to stay in the trajectory that it's in based upon the predispositions, or you could change that baby's predispositions and take that prototype and make it like 1,000 times more advanced, as well as stable, as well as then tailor it to what you think, giving it a stable foundation so it can make the best choice where the hormones aren't running the baby. Now, all hormones are going to run the person, but when there's a predominant hormone at the surface, that's what usually runs a person. And when you have unbalanced energy, well, you know how that goes. You see the long-term ramifications of unbalanced energy, right? And so that's the thing about disease, is that when you're born, it's like almost, I don't say it's a blank slate. I mean, you're given all these different cards, but you have the ability to change the cards. Okay? So you don't even have to blame your parents. You just be so thankful for your parents that they gave you life. Now, they didn't know that they could change the predispositions. They didn't know they could actually redirect the body away from a heart attack or potential diabetes or potential stroke, that you could actually change that trajectory to where you don't have to deal with dying from heart attacks and strokes and diabetes. You may deal with some kind of symptom like that, but relative to how you react to the symptoms will be whether or not you're going to live indefinitely or die from your predispositions. And that's really the very simplistic version of it. Because yesterday I could have put one nail in my coffin if I were to take Claritin, if I were to take some kind of mucus drying agent. Because when you clear, like last night I was blowing my nose, but it was, my pipes were clear. I pooped this morning. But if you stop the mucus from your nose coming out and you're trying to stop that faucet, like you just turn it off and then there's so much buildup behind that, then that buildup will then obviously cause then more predispositions and more unbalanced energy because you're not releasing. And then of course, when you block your nose, you block your ass. That's what I realized, that when you keep your nose and your sinuses clear, not because you're doing things like holistically, like breathing in stuff from like vapor rub or whatever. I'm talking about where you actually literally have done the J juice and you know what your symptoms are and what to expect when mucus comes out, and you're not trying to stop it. You're just letting it go out, and you blow your nose and blow your nose. And then when you blow your nose, you could feel the pressure through your alimentary canal, and you can almost feel your ass kind of like fart. And that's when you know you have a great connection between right here and between down there and all points in between. Okay? And so those are the indicators to understand, like, clear communication between all systems. And so, yeah, you're going to, like, last night I was coughing. My husband's like, what the hell? Like, as soon as we left that area and we got back into our town, I was just coughing and coughing and coughing. It was like all of a sudden I just got sick. But it wasn't sickness. It was evolution. And yes, you can kind of hear it this morning, but I feel fine. Maybe I slept a little bit harder last night because it was an evolution. Maybe I blew my nose out a little bit more last night because I had to get out the excess. But I knew it for what it was, didn't try to stop my body from dealing with it. And I'm still going to keep doing what I do. Okay? It's just like you almost continue without really any drop in your stride. Now, if there was a more aggressive pollen or a major variant of a virus, then I could see where I would be like really tired and wanting to sleep and all that. But I was really tired last night, don't get me wrong. As soon as we got home around 7, I was just like, oh my God, okay, I need to sleep now. Okay, and so don't discount, when you get tired, your body needs to sleep, you freaking sleep. You don't try to keep yourself up and try to fight it. Those days are over, but if you are doing a 9-to-5 job, well, I guess you have to do what you got to do. So anyway, so that's just my little snippet, my little anecdote of dealing with different microbiomes and different people, and then controlling your voluptuousness to controlling how skinny you want to be or how muscly you want to be. And just remember that you don't want to be too muscly, you don't want to be too skinny, and you don't want to be too voluptuous. There is a balance. But since I'm in a very energetic environment anyways, not that I'm like doing a lot of stuff that's energetic wise, but I get up, I do my Facebook lives, I do whatever. Sometimes I smoke a cigarette. I go outside. There's a lot of activity outside. Just even the electricity in the air keeps the resistance going. Now, if I want to go and add more resistance and more, friction and energy, then I would do, I would run around or something. But right now, I'm perfectly fine with utilizing all of the intelligence from the food supply that's sticking to me, that's causing my voluptuousness to then use to direct towards my goal, which is getting this book out. Okay? So remember, food has intelligence. Fat has intelligence. Don't try to be all like, oh, we got to eat clean and stay away from big agra. I'm telling you, bioengineered food has intelligence. And I know this speaks directly in blasphemy or against the holistic world and those that are like trying to fight GMO in their prospective towns. And there are still residual people from my old world that saw that video that I did the other day about GMO and about eating local and all that stuff, eating organic. And I'm like, when you eat organic, you're basically going back to the caveman. If you want to be very intelligent, then you upgrade to the level of your environment and to the level of the people around you. And if you're trying to eat a food that has absolutely nothing to it except for a few basic ingredients, then guess what? How basic the caveman was. He was so basic, all he knew was to react to his hormones, and that was it. He had no ounce of intelligence, really. What gave the caveman intelligence? I mean, he had enough intelligence to keep him alive, but that's like a dog that just kind of keeps himself alive, okay? Based upon their hormones and their fight or flight. But what gives anything intelligence is the bioengineering, okay? And so this is why you don't want to be eating at local farms that use very basic ingredients, because that's what gives us the intelligence. If you're using organic everything and you're trying to do the J juice, yeah, you'll be, hey, Nicole, everybody, yeah, you'll be like, maybe you'll lose some weight, but you don't know to what aggressive variants are in the environment that the bioengineer might give you more of the intelligence to be able to handle. Okay? So let me tell you, organic is so overrated. Eating clean is so overrated. Now you know that you can control your weight with the salt and with the J juice if you feel you're too voluptuous. And then you can bring in more food if you're too skinny and you want to eat all the food that's out there, that's sold in the stores, that's bioengineered. Yes, because that is evolution. And you're not looking to, you're not looking to look like a fashion model, and you're not looking to be too skinny or too obese. You're looking to just be proportioned to whatever it is that you're doing. If I was out there manual labor like John or other people, then yeah, he would have to eat a lot more food and a lot more fat, a lot more protein, a lot more carbs and sugar so he can maintain his energetic existence. And he wouldn't be too obese because he's always burning it off, and he does the J juice to make sure to kind of not too often, but then you get the poop out. Okay, and so your body, and when you heal and seal and with a little bit of the J juice and with J juice and with the food supply, you're going to adapt to your lifestyle. And the bioengineered food is going to keep you maintaining your intelligence. Because yes, when a person does stay away from supposedly all the bioengineered food and they go back to like the eating off grid or being off grid, and the kids are not getting the upgrades, the evolution, the food supply and whatever, right? Then you'll see a difference in how they're I mean, I'm not that I'm going to know this, but you can kind of see the logic behind it. If you're not eating the same, like, that people eat different foods over there in third world countries, right? It's not biofortified, it's not bioengineered, and it's all like from the crops. And so they're really skinny and they're emaciated, and they're not really keeping up on the fat on their body. And so they have a very predictable lifespan. Just even looking at China, Northern Chinese eat heavier fare because of the weather. The Southern Chinese eat mostly like steamed dumplings and steamed this and steamed that. And so there's really nothing to them. Who's going to survive when there's a major change in the environment? The Northern Chinese are, because they got something to them. They're not eating so clean where it's just two basic ingredients and that's it. Okay? The salt and the energy is what keeps things proportional. The food supply and the bioengineered food is what keeps you evolved. It keeps you intelligent. It keeps you keeping up with status quo. So you eat the food supply. You don't necessarily have to do the vaccines unless you want to, because the virus is going to be out there, and whether or not you have the insulation and all of the intelligence will be whether or not you will survive the virus. But if you don't have the insulation, you don't have all the good stuff, then yeah, you're going to have to go get a vaccine to transition. Okay? And so let me tell you, mark my words, if you start playing the eating clean game and taking all these different clean stuff and staying away from, food over at Walmart or Big Agra, I'm telling you, it's going to then translate into the harder, It's going to make it harder for your kids and you to adapt to the level of the environment, because the kids are missing nutrition. They're missing the things that is in that donut, that is in that piece of steak or that soy, type of concoction. Okay, at this point, until we know 100% that bioengineered food, like with the protein, is complete protein. So, like, yeah, we know soy is complete protein. But if they're serving steak and they're serving meat, eat it. Especially if you're trying to gain weight. That's the thing. If you're so skinny and you've had issues with cancer because cancer is evolution and your body isn't keeping up to the level of evolution, then you need to eat steak. You need to eat everything that has the hormones in it. You need to eat everything. And if you don't, then you're going to be trying to catch up with everybody else. And you've already been doing that because that's why you have cancer. Okay? And so J juice is going to make sure you recalibrate and you prime your body to be able to handle the new environment. You energize it so that way the intelligence that's in the programming of the environment, as well as in the viruses and in the food supply, your body can handle and adapt to it. J juice with the vaccines, J juice with the bioengineered food, J juice with your environment, J juice with if you do J juice with just very simple foods, you're going to be so skinny you will not be able to handle the activity. It's like looking at Ethiopia and looking at America. But then, yeah, Americans, we're very big, yes, because we have very rich food. But what our downfall is, we are not releasing the excess. So imagine Americans who are eating what I'm eating in Midwestern America, the meat, the milk, the cheese, the potatoes, all that stuff, and you're doing J juice, you're going to be strong as a freaking ox. And that's what you want your kids to be, strong as an ox, that they can handle any environment. They're not going to suffer because they went from this microbiome to that microbiome. Okay? And when you're trying to get rid of mucus and try to stop the mucus and you're trying to, whatever, then you're going to then start devolving. As soon as you stop the symptoms because you don't feel comfortable, that's when de-evolution begins. Okay? So that's my advice to all of you, is deal with your environment. Don't try to stop the symptoms. Don't try to stop anything. Be okay with big boobs and a butt and a little bit of a gut. Not too, you don't want to be too obese and you don't want to be too underweight. You want to be just right. Okay? And I learned that. I learned that this last year. You saw me at my skinniest, and now you're seeing me at and I'm not fat. I got boobs. Even people know, like, oh, you got some boobs on you. Well, yeah, the last couple of weeks, man, I've been, really packing on the brain food. Okay? And Nicole goes, "Good morning, beautiful. I love that shirt. I ate meat for the first time in almost 60 days last night. It was so good. Love your live videos." Thank you. And I know Emily said something earlier. Oh, that was not Emily. That was Nicole. I thought Emily said something. So, you guys, have a great, great Memorial Day. Okay? Ultimate sacrifice. Really what sacrifice is where do you derive your energy from? That's what sacrifice is. What did you sacrifice to get where you are today? What energy did you take from something else to then put towards this? And that could happen at the micro level as well as the macro level. So sacrifice is sacrifice. We don't have to have these wars and we don't have to have all this conflict, but diversity and innovation and building infrastructure, I guess, somehow required it, though we're seeing it now kind of taper off as we are evolving, but it's not 100%. So, all right, I'm going to go do my thing. You guys have a good day. Bye.